Call the meeting to order tonight for the City of Saratoga Springs, Tuesday, October 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. Present tonight, I have Councilwoman Barton, Councilman Comber, Councilman Wilden, Councilman Carn, and Councilman Wadman. So we do have a quorum this evening. I've asked Councilman Wilden to lead us in our prayer, and then we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Natalie Hooker from Troop 8.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful this day and this evening, and we're grateful to be able to be gathered as a council to evaluate these many decisions that will have a lasting impact on our community. And we ask thee to bless us, we'll be guided to make those good decisions, and ask thee to bless all those who work, live, and serve in our community. And these things we say in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public input. Time has been set aside for the public to express ideas, concerns, or comments for subject matter not listed on the agenda. We have a total of 15 minutes. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes each. Please avoid repetitive comments. Please be respectful in your comments, and please state your name and address for the record when you come to the podium. Is anybody here for public input this evening?
Caleb Buswell, 1487 South Sageview Court. I am here, it's on the agenda, but we are not allowed to speak on it, so I'm just going to use my time here to do that. I wanted to speak against the annexation of the Sitla land. When I moved here 10 years ago, I did my due diligence. I knew about the dump. I knew about the explosives. I knew about Mountain View before half the residents around me did. This just blindsided me. 3,500 homes above my house totally changes my entire neighborhood. It makes my road a highway at this point, not a community road. So it's, I mean, we're talking 6,000 cars of traffic at least. That's 6,000 more students. Roughly, by the time you count in ADUs and everything else, 3,000 to 5,000 more homes using our water and sewer. Our roads are already super overcrowded. My commute every morning is a nightmare. My commute home is a nightmare. It went from being, at least a packed drive several years ago to something where I just sit in traffic for 2-3 hours a day now. It's just so ridiculous how bad it's getting. And it's insane to me that Larry H. Miller is out there going, okay, let's build 3,500 homes on top of this when we don't have the infrastructure for what we need. We're 10 years behind. And by the time this is done in 2030, with SR 73 and whatnot, we'll be 15 years behind. I find the timing of this application extremely suspicious, to be honest. Of course, that 60 days is going to overlap the holidays, and it's going to happen right before the new city council takes over at the beginning of the year. So it's like they're trying to cram it in when people aren't paying attention, which honestly just feels very disingenuous, which to me is how this entire process has felt from them from the get-go. The only way that this could even be feasible is if someone could come up with a better east-west route than what we currently have, because even building out Pony Express, even with the improvements to Mountain View and on 2100, adding another 3,500 homes, there is no way that east-west is going to get any better than by the time we factor in all the property that the church still has left to build out. I mean, there's thousands of homes there too. So I mean, I just don't see how this could be good for the community, and it's only good for their pocketbook.
Thank you. Anybody else here for public input? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public input at this time and entertain reports. Anything from the council for this evening? Okay, Mark, administration.
Mayor and council, we have need of a closed session this evening.
Okay.
Sorry.
Councilwoman Barton.
I had to admit today that I'd never seen our library because by the time it was done,
my kids were older, we'd always gone to the Riverton Library, and so I walked in today and mentioned something about it, and Owen took me for a little tour. And I just want to say how impressed I am with what they've done with this space. It's the cutest little library I've ever seen. I was so excited to get a tour now before it's actually gone and stuff like that. But just a big,
got 1 month left.
I know, just a big kudos to our library team for what they've done to that space, because it's amazing what they've taken and done with it. And kudos to everybody who is a part of that, because I know it's been a huge project for you guys and for scouts and all that kind of stuff. But
When we were first the city, that was the dental office.
yeah, right. And so anyway, I just wanted to just big shout out to our library team, and I can't wait to see what they do with our new space, because it's pretty awesome.
And then that was the police department.
Perfect. Okay, I will entertain a motion on the consent.
Consent items as listed on the agenda.
Second.
I have a first from Councilman Carn, second from Councilman McComber. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have business item 1, site plan for Harvest Point Commercial, Plat A, Lot 2.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is for Harvest Point Commercial. This is over directly west of Blossom, off of Hillcrest Road. It meets all code criteria. It's, Planning Commission forwarded a positive recommendation. This is location zone map, it's regional commercial. This is just the site plan. It's going to be medical offices. It meets all the parking and everything else. There's a look at what the architecture looks like on the outside. Meets all the standards on that as when they applied. The architectural standards have been updated since this was applied for, so that they're a little different. And photometric, then landscaping, again, everything meets all the standards. Are there any questions on that?
Hey, Councilman McComber?
I just have a question, and it's more just the general nature. I mean, we've had a lot of neighbors complaining about parking on the Hillcrest, the condos, now we're putting in this. Has there been a warrant study? I know we need another light on Redwood Road like anything, but I also think lights save lives as well. Has there been a warrant study done at Hillcrest and Redwood?
They're parallel, they don't,
Doesn't Hillcrest intersect with?
no, Hillcrest and Redwood.
And then it's Hillcrest.
Hillcrest is north-south.
So what's the one that connects with?
Hillcrest is to the south of this site, we have an overall, yeah, here we go. So Harvest Hill, Hillcrest, sorry, this is going on Hillcrest, but then Harvest Hill Boulevard would be over here.
So Harvest Hills Boulevard, you know what road I'm thinking about is the north one.
And there's a,
Fall
there's
Harvest. Can we have more harvest names?
so there's a few more lots.
Yes,
to the north
summer
of-
harvest, fall harvest.
There's about 3 more lots to the north of this one.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering it's not going to condition my approval here, but just, I think we're getting more and more businesses coming in. People going north are going to want to go north and not go south to then go north, just human nature. So if we could just look into that, but
I think on the
it's not going to be
EMP, there's supposed to be a light at Fall Harvest.
at fall harvest, yeah, I just want to, yeah, I'm not making that a condition of my approval, I just wanted that on the radar.
Okay, thank you.
Couldn't think of the word.
Also, they did the public, or the neighborhood meeting, nobody showed up. They did get emails or phone calls saying that they're
I think so many people knew this was coming.
Like how far out?
300,
300 feet, I believe. So it's
I heard
it's
nothing about it.
300
a chunk
feet.
of the multifamily family
Okay.
right there.
But like, this has been an area that people knew was going to be commercial
Yeah.
for a long time.
Could have been a hotel.
Okay.
Thank heavens. They wanted to tell her for a minute.
Any other discussion or questions?
Okay.
Not on this, we had to look at some point saying is 300 feet really sufficient?
Agreed.
I mean, like,
agreed.
there's backyards that are almost that deep. So, they did what they were supposed to, but it's just, wait,
Yeah,
what?
Thank
I
you,
agree.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve business item 1, site plan for Harvest Point Commercial Plat A, Lot 2, located 2093 North Hillcrest Road. Casey Bills as applicant with any staff findings and conditions.
I have a first from Councilman Carn,
Second.
second from Councilman Wilden. Any further discussion? McComber?
Aye.
Carn? Wadman. Wilden. Barton.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mark, speaking of traffic, yesterday they were closing half of Redwood Road in the morning during the commute.
Yeah, during the commute, I noticed
It
that.
has to be after 9, I thought.
No, on Redwood Road, just in front of Dalmore, they closed it down to one lane in the morning commute. I thought we had agreements with UDOT not to
Till after
impede
9, right?
our only way out in the morning.
Reach out and let you know, I don't know.
What was that?
One-sided.
To a lot.
They
Yeah.
just don't, they don't follow through.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll reach out to UDOT and make sure that they don't violate what they've agreed to do with us.
I think, I don't know if I can say this, I think a big thing is they say it's not till 9, but they want to have it ready for them to work at 9. So they start doing it early, but I don't think that's okay.
But no, they were putting
okay.
cones out at 6 in the
Was it even,
morning.
oh, it was,
It was
even
way
before
early.
that? Because that's what they
Only-
do in Mountain View. They start at 8:30 to close it down.
The only reason we weren't backed up to Santa Quinn is it was fall break. Otherwise, I
Yeah,
think we
it
would have
would have
heard
been a big
about it
deal.
louder.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, and we'll reach out to them right away and hopefully get an answer to you
Monday was bad.
first thing in the morning.
When you're
It
talking,
was still bad, but it wasn't as bad.
and Mayor, when they're talking to UDOT, also, we've had it now happen a few times when they shut down the turning lanes on Pioneer Crossing to do the demolition. I texted you, Owen, this. They don't change it from sensor to camera, and so there's nobody parked because they've taken off the turning lane, and then nobody can turn left. It goes multiple cycles, and cars never get to go. So I know you did reach out to them, and they did address that, but if they can have that in their
SOPs, yeah.
This is not an agenda item, but I'm agreeing. They did the same thing on Grandview a few weeks ago, where they shifted the turn lane over, and everybody was backed up, and there was never an arrow.
So going back to the previous council comments, we'll wrap these things together in the email that we're
Thank
sending
you.
UDOT. and address
This
these-
sparks our mind when we do.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, aside from the detour, we'll move on to business item 2, bid approval for city entry monument.
Yes, Mayor, and no presentation necessarily tonight, but just a quick review. About a month or so ago, we had a development agreement come forward for your approval between the Steel Ridge Development and the city, and determined a certain amount that would be approved to go towards this entry monument. And we had an RFP go out. We had 2 proposals received, and we had a committee with 2 of you on that reviewing the proposals, and the JLR Blue team was selected. And we have met with them and reviewed the contract, and all is good with the contract. It includes them meeting the not to exceed $310,000 for the project, which is what the city approved, plus what the Steel Ridge Development is putting in. So we're recommending approval of the award of bid and contract, and they're already looking at their designs. They have requested to come back at our next meeting on the 18th of November to show you proposed conceptual plans and get your direction on those.
Okay.
Mayor, I got a question. Yes. This is more around our process. My understanding is we approved a budget number with the Steel Ridge contribution in that meeting, and then we went out to bid. So all the bidders knew what our budget was beforehand?
Yes, it was part of the RFP saying that they would be required to agree to a not to exceed budget.
Okay, I guess my only,
Because we didn't actually have a design.
I know we didn't have, I know, I feel like we're a little backwards, like.
Always is.
When you say, hey, I got 300 grand to spend, who's gonna come in with a bid? They know where they gotta come in. I don't know if there's a better way to do it or not.
Price was only one component that we looked at in the.
Was it you guys on the, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
and a
comfortable.
lot of them have done it this way,
Yep,
like Provo's not to exceed, and then they, big bang.
as long as we had representation, I'm fine.
Councilmember Carn, ironically, I mean, we have to provide engineers' estimates for projects ultimately that go out to bid. So, I mean,
It's crazy.
there's a
You know, it's like
level of
if we had go out to
transparency.
bid on a road and say, hey, I got $10 million for this road, bring me your bids.
And they're always like.
Everyone's gonna come in just under $10 million,
Yeah,
right?
Well, and-
They're
and
always 12 million.
We do sometimes see people come in considerably below the engineers. So, I mean, again, it's complicated, but to your point, we understand your comment.
Okay, thank
The
you.
group we were picking has stayed under budget on other projects, so.
Well, and then we also liked what they were sort of conceptually doing for that money versus the others as well, but
Okay.
yeah.
And just a quick note, what I've seen through these proposals and otherwise doing some research, these types of projects can be a lot more expensive than 310. So for us to come in at that amount for what we're hoping to be a very nice monument, we may not get everything we want at that price.
Okay.
You're
Yep, I'm entertaining a motion.
I move that we approve the bid approval for city entry monument located at southwest corner of Riverside Drive and Crossroads Boulevard at Steel Ridge Plaza, city-initiated resolution R25-54 dated today.
Okay, I have a first from Councilwoman Comber,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion? Wadman?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Comber?
Aye.
Barton?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have business item 3, review and possible approval of public infrastructure district policy.
Mayor and Council, thank you very much. Jonathan Ward from Zions Bank is here. Jonathan, if you'd like to come up and join me up here at the table. Mayor and Council, last week, we had a very good work session, and we have since incorporated the comments that we received. We hope that we captured everything. If we missed anything, we're happy to go through and make any corrections or edits. And again, just like anything else, if you choose to adopt this PID policy tonight, you certainly have the option to amend it or make changes to it in the future. So like all of our documents, we would just need to follow a process to go through and amend that, make sure that it's done publicly. With that, Jonathan was last week, or last meeting, but he is here this evening, and we'd be happy to go through and answer any questions that you might have or any comments that you might have if there's any changes or any additions or anything that you've identified in your opportunity to review this. We apologize. It was a labor to get it all out to you, so we apologize that it was a little late getting into your packet, but hopefully it's a clean enough version that we can be able to have a viable conversation for this evening. So with that, Jonathan, do you want to just give a real high-level overview of what a PID policy does for the audience, and then we'll turn it to the council for questions.
You bet. Mayor and council, nice to be with you. Sorry I missed the last meeting. Hopefully you're in good hands with Brian Baker, my colleague. PID policies are intended to help the council respond to applications regarding the use of this tool. It's a tool the city has at its disposal for helping incentivize developments that you want. It's for public infrastructure, and the intent is to basically say, we want this, let's make it happen. Let's figure out a way to make it happen. I think I read through the policy as it currently stands here, and I think, like Mark suggested, it's in good working order. There's some redundancy in it, you know, where we say the same thing twice that we could probably clean up. But I think in terms of answering the high-level questions and setting in place the high-level policy decisions, it's going to help answer questions that may come up in the future that you don't necessarily want to rehash at every application or every petition for this tool. If it's already outlined in the policy, the point of the policy is to be able to respond to applicants and petitioners and say, that's not in our policy, we already made that decision, that's water under the bridge. I think from a policy standpoint too, this is, as I indicated, your tool. So you use it how you want to use it, and what benefits you makes the most sense. It's not intended for anything but helping the city come to grips or come to an ability to finance projects that you are interested in seeing happen in your community. And there's some projects that just aren't. You know, I look around the state where these public infrastructure districts are being used, and I can say that's an appropriate use for a public infrastructure district because it benefits the community. They've got a reason why that benefits their community. There are other projects where you can say that's clearly not a benefit to the community. They don't need that. So as a tool in your toolbox, you decide whether you use it or not. I think generally speaking, the policies as they're outlined do put some guardrails on the use of the tool. Guardrails that I think in my experience working through these are helpful. and help make the tool a functional tool that can be used for the right reasons. I don't see in here anything that I think is exceptionally adverse to city or project petitioners, and think that
So Jonathan, we got two councilmen with question and comment. So we can start with Councilman McComber and then Councilman Carn.
Yes, my question is you mentioned that there was some redundancy, there was multiple, stated multiple times. Did they conflict, or was it identical in its verbiage?
is identical.
Okay, so then I'm okay with that. We can clean that up maybe in the next version. And that's really for Ruan to take back to from legal perspective, just so the next time we bring this forward, we can clean that redundancy, as long as it's not conflict, because Jim and I have spent 16 years dealing with redundancies, but not the same, where they said completely different things in our code and people got very confused, and then they got to choose which one they wanted to follow. So we've worked really hard over the years to make that clean. Now for my comment, I just really wanted to give a shout out to staff. We did definitely ask you to do something extremely big, and I don't think it too quick of time, but it was definitely at the end was quicker, merging the documents, taking all of the feedback. I appreciated, as I was reading through it, I was very impressed with the quality of the PID policy. I also wanted to be very clear for especially the scouts and other people here in the audience who aren't as familiar with what city governments do. This PID policy, just to give a little bit more clarification, is a developer who wants to come in and they want to do a big project, and we as a city would say, well, we need another water tank because we can't support you, or you need to build this road beyond what you need to provide as a development, above and beyond. And so they get these impact fee credits. Well, we wanted to make a PID policy that allows them to do that they would get refunded for those efforts that go above and beyond their project. We wanted to give them an ability to fund other parts of their project and have the residents that are actually creating the impact pay for it. Instead of having me and a resident in Harvest Hills and a resident in Lake Mountain pay for development to come into the Saratoga Springs and to add impact to the community, this makes it so that that neighborhood that's creating the additional impact is paying for that themselves. And the residents, when they go to purchase their home, will know, and they will accept, if they want to buy the home, they will accept that added tax, that added property tax. Sort of like a fancy HOA dues is how I've often thought about it myself. So appreciate you listening to us, staff. Mark, if you can make sure all of the people that were involved in your meeting that you usually have tomorrow know how much I personally am impressed. I made a comment a few times over the last months that I knew that you and the team would be able to create something that can become a standard, and I really do believe that this could become something that the state legislature is going to be looking at this in January, February. I promise you, they're going to probably look at what Saratoga Springs did. And I know that other cities are going to look at what Saratoga Springs did as well, because there's a lot of interest in this across the state. So thank you very much, and turn the time back over to you, Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Barton.
I just have a question with the mixed-use development that includes a variety of housing types and prices, including affordable housing at or below the 80% AMI within Utah County. Do we know what the 80% AMI is right now?
In Utah County, I want to say it's around 480-ish. I think it's around 480-ish, maybe less than that. I'm sorry. I'm
That's okay. I just was
trying to
asking.
pull something.
No, you don't.
It's not it's much higher than we would think it should be.
Okay.
But yeah,
And then, so I actually was able to go to a class or workshop, whatever we call them, at the city council conference, and about this very thing, about how cities are having builders build houses with like a certain percentage of the AMI. So Park City talked as well. Park City and South Jordan both talked. And they actually had to have different types of programs for people to get in these types of homes. Is that kind of what the idea is right here? Working with the developer and making sure that, I didn't like some of the programs that they had decided to use, but I didn't know that much about them, and I still don't, right? So how do we accomplish that? Like, what is the idea behind that?
So this is really kind of throwing into what the state is trying to do with the state housing plan, which
Right.
there's a new version of that out. It's 100 and
Which
some
is
odd.
why the other cities are
Yeah.
doing it as well,
So-
yeah.
So what we're trying to say is if there is a housing opportunity where this housing could be affordable and would be meeting the AMI limit for Utah County, that would be one of the considerations that could be considered as a public benefit for why the project should qualify for a PID. Again, it's giving it a reason to say there's there. Now, you as a council could actually take this and be more restrictive. You could say that 20% of the housing, that's hypothetical, must meet this AMI standard, and that's part of your justification. You could set a limit. You could say 25%. I mean, there is going to be a huge conversation this legislative session about what does it mean for cities to get involved to require this affordable housing to get into the market.
So what they were talking about is it actually had a lot, the city had to do a lot as well. And so I think that's a consideration that we need to be thinking about as well. I mean, because it wasn't just the developer themselves, it's actually the city doing their part. Not, to be honest with you, I don't know to the extent, but it was a working together, right? And I don't know money-wise, like, again, it was a very broad conversation with everybody, so we didn't get down to little details, but just
This is actually tied directly to one of the tactics that's going to appear in that housing study.
Yeah, which makes sense,
That cities will
yeah.
have to try and meet these standards. And so again, this is saying, look, as part of that public benefit, we can look at this. Now,
I love this. I just want to make sure that we're ready for what
we
it.
didn't set a percentage, but the council certainly could say, hey, going forward, all future developments need to require X percent, and that could become the new standard. Now,
And then those details will work out as they come about, right?
Exactly. So that was kind of a nod towards what's going on more universally with the state's policies.
That's great. Do you have any, I don't know if you had anything to add about that, if you've seen that in other cities. I'm sure you've probably seen a little bit of what's been happening, but
There's certainly tools that have been available, made available to help affordable housing, and none of them have really been used yet. The FIZ and the HOPS, for instance, each stands for like future home investment zones or housing opportunity.
like deed restrictions, I mean, is it all that kind of stuff that's out there that we're using? Okay.
And they do require something like 60% of the housing units to be
Yeah, Park City
affordable.
is doing a little thing with that, 60%.
The benefit of those tools to the home builders is that it's taking tax revenue from the school district, the county, the city, the mosquito abatement district, the water district, every other taxing entity, and giving a portion of the future taxing revenue to them to offset the costs incurred that they're not going to be recouping with affordable housing. I don't think that really has penciled financially, and I don't think that's why those tools have been used regularly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this big, huge conversation, of course, and I know when it comes to the time, we'll have little details that we'll have to work out. Yes, yeah, and so that's why I don't have issues with it, but there's concerns, but not concerns that can't be addressed, like in the future, yeah.
And if I could, this is a policy. It's a tool that you as a council do. And one thing that we talked about in our last meeting, but I want to bring it up for the public that's here tonight, is just because you approve a PID policy, it doesn't mean that you have to approve a PID in the future or under what terms. And just because you get an application, if the council doesn't feel it meets that public benefit, you can deny it. And you have that option still. So all this is a tool. It's not committing the city to approve anything. It's just saying that if you were going to consider something, these are the parameters
No, I
that
like
we're
it.
globally looking at in order to do that. So it doesn't bind the hands of the council. It provides an opportunity for a discussion. And the true discussion is not the adoption of this policy. It's, do you finally create PIDs in the future?
And I had missed that the last time around when that in there, so I just wanted to get clarification. So thank you, Mark.
Councilman Wilden?
Couple things here. On page 3 of our document, which is under letter of intent contents, section 5, wrong thing. Item C, reset there a little bit. We talked about, like, item A and B, talk about, hey, they're not gonna double dip.
Correct.
And then item C, not verse, item C talks about, well, if we approve an exception, then we're gonna have a trustee in there. And I understand, it's like if the council decides to, okay, we're gonna approve an exception, I'd rather just not have that in there at all, because I think other people, developers will read, oh, well, I see there's an exception here that you've already crafted.
I'll go for it, yeah.
So are you suggesting that we strike letter C under page 3, VC?
Yeah, because it makes it appear as if, hey, we're gonna, if you're doing it for impact eligible, okay, but we're gonna create this trustee. And if we were to ever do a trustee, I would say the developer has to be 100% responsible for the independent trustee. It manages it, but then it may not even be the same developer at that point. And it may be incumbent on like the HOA or whatever it may be when they're collecting that. So that's where I would prefer. It's like, we just don't allow it as an option.
I agree.
Where's the rest of the council on striking C?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Well, because in the future, the council, if they wanted to give an exception, they still can.
Yep. And then.
Why give them, why? Because every developer will come in asking for the exception.
And it's harder to get an exception when we don't have a provision that says if there's an exception, that's what you do.
Okay, so we strike C. We'll make sure you clarify that. Now, one thing to your comment, Stephen, that I think is really important.
Honorable councilman, please.
Honorable, magnificent, maleficent, yeah. If you go to page 10, it's under item 4. It says advisors and bond counsel shall owe a fiduciary duty to the residents and future residents of the city and district and shall act in their best interest. Advisors shall assist in the selection of financing professionals, basically to carry out that fiduciary responsibility. And so we were trying to really hit what you're alluding to, which is that this is not a tool that can get abused like it's been used in other states, but that we very much have limited it down and said, your obligation is for this. So I appreciate your comment and
I like
wanted to tie
that.
to that.
Now on page 7, which is 3 criteria, I'm trying not to say verse again, sorry. 3 criteria for evaluating proposed public infrastructure districts. I like all these. The one thing, and maybe Rulon, you can copy or comment on this, is the use of shall across all of them. What I would suggest is items 1, 2, and 6. 1 is resulting development that is conformance with the city general plan. 2 is contribution to city infrastructure, and 6 is open space, Those can be shall. Everything else should be may, because like, and then item, well, let me explain that before I go on. Because when you're saying shall, that means, hey, if it's in here, you guys are gonna have to look at this. If we flip those ones, which is, again, just leaving shall for 1, 2, and 6, and then the others may, it's like, okay, we may consider this, but we have to, here's the most significant things that we have to look at. And then on item 3, it talks about transit-oriented development. I would just want to blow that out, because there's already state code around that. And there's cities around us that's tried to build those type of things and they failed, and you just packed in high density with the idea to have buses, train stops that don't or never will exist.
Okay, so strike 3, change 1, 2, and 6 to shalls, and leave the rest as mays.
He's not striking all of 3, he's just striking the transit-oriented.
Well, isn't that pretty much what it?
Multimodal transportation, transit-oriented development, water-wise landscaping, thoughtful development, phasing, green building design. So I think there's other things in there.
Okay.
Water-wise.
Do you just mean the TOD?
Yeah, the transit,
Multimodal transportation of the transit-oriented development.
yeah, those two just come out and
Okay.
make it a may.
And make it a may, okay.
And then number 2, this is the last thing I'm not bent on, but where it says provision of and contribution to needed significant, or to city infrastructure, I would like to insert the word significant in there. And I know that's arbitrary and it's hard to measure, but having a developer, well, I built a sidewalk on 400 North, that's different. We need a sidewalk. I'm not saying we don't need
If
it.
it goes to court, there is some argument, what is significant?
Right.
Provision of and contribution to significant city infrastructure.
I would say provision of and significant
Yeah,
contributions.
I like that. That way, I know it's arbitrary, but like, there's a big difference between other developments that are coming forth of what we need them to do so that we don't have major congestion and gridlock above what it, or beyond what it already is. So it needs to be significant, not, I built an extra sidewalk that I didn't have to.
Right, and so this is perfect for like major roadway projects,
Yep.
major transportation,
So-
corridors and things.
So maybe a better word, I don't know, Mark, other than significant, major, I don't know.
No significant major, I mean, it's, you're, to your point.
Okay. That's, and then, sorry, oh, did you want?
Yeah, I was just gonna, in this area, really for a PID, I mean, we talk from the governor's office, housing, get people into the American dream. Can we put a percentage in there? Because we saw in other developments where all of a sudden we've got a large one business owner buying 300 of the 400 doors for rentals. If we're gonna do a PID to get homes built, can we have it so that people can own the homes?
So do you, as a council, want us to add a percentage of owner-occupied housing?
I would say under, yes, sorry.
I mean, to Councilwoman Barton, she made comments, where do my kids buy houses? Because they're being bought by the corporations faster than they can do it.
So I would put that in section 4.
Section 4?
Yeah, because that's the one that talks about the 80% has to be below, and I would say something like
up here.
75% of retail, not retail.
Of housing needs to be owner occupied.
Yeah.
Where do we get that number from?
Do you want us to
Fine,
come back with a
70s.
recommendation on that?
Yeah, I mean, we could,
Yeah, come back with
Come
that.
back with rec-
I feel there's also a need for rentals, obviously.
There is.
There is, but there's also a need for affordable housing.
Well, the irony of it is given the new policy on internal accessory dwelling, or internal accessory dwelling units, all of the single-family homes, if they're larger than 6,000 square feet, theoretically is also creating,
Rental
an opportunity for a rental opportunity.
but
Yeah.
what we've seen in other
Yeah,
developments,
the lot, yes.
what we've seen in other developments is ABC Corp buys that house and creates a duplex. And they bought all of them.
Yes.
Standing at 8%, or is it just upon application? Or is it ever, if it ever dips below that?
Do you want that to be a consideration and have them propose it, or do you want to have a hard percentage?
So, to his point, if we say it's 75%, 8 years from now, how do we monitor it?
I mean, can this be deed restricted? What's the
So it
legal
says
one?
maybe deed restricted on here.
I'll say a good example is what was done. It's a little bit different in Harvest Hills. They changed the CCNRs and it says it has to be owner occupied, for X amount of time. And what that does is it prevents other corporations who don't want to deal with it, even though it's just an HOA, they don't come in and buy it.
But after like 5 years, the percentage could drop and.
Well, what I mean is the big companies don't want to deal with that. You can't really do, I think it.
want to buy like 15 in a row.
Right, you're not gonna be able to control when Jim buys
So
a
this is
house
only
for 6
upon
months and rents
application,
it
not
out.
a,
That's the initial.
right, okay.
So you're raising a great question that I don't know I can answer for you tonight if you're looking to pass this tonight. It's a great suggestion. I just don't know how we put the verbiage in without us doing a little bit of research on that.
But isn't something we can address if we approve this tonight?
This isn't the last time this
Yeah.
year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we could just bring it back next meeting.
Like I said, we could
Changes into-
approve the PID with this coming back next week for an amendment, right?
Sure.
Sure. I think it's a good ad, because that's happened in other places. All of a sudden you have
Just so you know, before we move on too much on Stevens changes, I personally am in support of those. So I'm seeing
Yeah.
lots of
Aye.
changes.
So I think I can help recap some of those as we go, if we get to that point.
okay.
Perfect. Councilman Wadman?
Two things, just to restate what Jonathan, right? Jonathan and the city manager, Mark, have said. Just because we adopt this policy doesn't mean that the application of it has to be approved per every application or for every candidate that comes in. We'll take those district by district and see what makes sense in the city. So this is not approving the application to any specific entity. But the second thing I have is, ever since we started talking about PIDs, I've been digging deep. What is the benefit to the citizens? What is the benefit to those that live here and to those that will live here? I even went to ChatGPT and said, give me some love here. The thing that my research has done, and we had a citizen that came forward about concerns about traffic. If there are these developments, they can put the infrastructure in there before homes even come in, because it could take 10 years to get 3,000 homes, right? Or more. So instead of waiting for that, we put the infrastructure in first. This is the benefit that my research is, and that's probably the only thing I've seen, is that it helps establish infrastructure or improvements before a build-out. The second question I have, and is that, am I saying that true? Did I say anything incorrect, or is that, okay?
I agree.
The second thing that I have is, this is not like a mortgage. It's not like, so if you have a $1,000 mortgage and then $200 PID, a mortgage is tax deductible on the or on the interest, right? Is there any tax, because it is a tax, what I see, you can't claim it and have it as a deduction, right?
I'm not a tax attorney or an accountant, but I think you can.
You can?
I think it's
Okay.
like any other property tax on your property, and
I didn't know, okay.
deductible up to whatever the,
But don't take
Salt
that as
limit is-
tax advice from Jonathan.
yeah, I'm not a tax.
I'm helping
Okay.
you out there.
Is that, I mean, not that it helps, but, okay, those are two questions I have, thanks.
I think you're exactly right, council member, and that's sort of the reason for a good sound PID policy. It's your tool. Use it for what you want it to achieve. That's the bottom line. You don't need to use it for every PID request. You don't need to use it for every development. You use it for something that makes sense to you as a community in general, and that makes sense for the residents there, because what I haven't seen, and what I think was initially contemplated with the tool, is it's going to reduce housing affordability.
Right.
It hasn't, and in fact, it's probably done just the opposite and increased the cost of housing. And so until it gets refined and fixed legislatively or otherwise, I just don't know that there is that benefit you're looking for through ChatGPT or other sources. It just hasn't materialized the way I think it was intended to.
One thing so just to make it clear to everybody, public record, because we vote for this does not mean we vote for the application of it. It's the policy of it. So, and what's been laid out has been pretty, compared to other PIDs that we first reviewed, this is pretty tightened down. Can I say that? It's pretty
It's a lot.
details. It's a lot. Yeah, it's kind of locked in. Anyway, thanks.
Councilman McCollum.
I just have one quick question, and then if you're entertaining a motion, Mayor, I'll do that. I didn't remember seeing, and all of a sudden I'm just spacing, did we have a minimum acreage requirement?
Yes, it's 500
I missed
acres
it.
and $10 million.
5 million, okay.
Is in here. It's on.
I just missed it.
It's on page 3, item
Okay.
number 2.
So to the point
Contiguous acres.
Jonathan was making, is basically this isn't for like a one block little neighborhood. It's not going to come in and get a PID. I mean, they can't even apply because you have to have a certain size to be able to justify that, because it is a lot to process. So, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, so I'm going to need some help.
We got city attorney.
I would just ask that if the council approves this, they could delegate to staff the ability to non-substantive clean up the.
Oh, I will do that for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so I move that we approve the Public Infrastructure District Policy Resolution R25-55 dated today with the staff findings and conditions in the report, plus a condition that any non-substantive changes and redundancies that do not change the nature of the document can be done and administered by staff, including punctuation. I did notice two things, I'm sure you'll see. And then also in section 5, was it 5?
Section 2.5 verse C.
2B5C,
2B5C,
strike that paragraph.
strike that paragraph, and then what section was the,
B subsection C.
so 2, section 5,
Yeah, 5.
and then
Subsection C.
subsection C.
And then I believe The rest of Councilmember Wilden's comments.
Were those, which ones were
Complete
shall and
shall
may?
and-
That went to page 7.3 under public benefit. Item 1, 2, and 6 shall be made, or
Shall be shall.
And then, are you okay if we renumber those so that the shalls are all? And then the rest of the items would be may. Item 3, we would strike the phrase multimodal transportation transit-oriented development. And so it includes the remainder of those. And then come back at a future time with owner occupancy language added that puts a criteria on owner occupancy to prevent corporate rentals and large corporate, holdings in a community.
And we have that intent to be within,
By next council.
by next council potentially. And then the intent is, even though this isn't a pending ordinance approval, that any application that would come in would be under the understanding that they would need to follow whatever that percent is
Okay.
that we end up with. And then wasn't there one thing, did we actually do did we do that yet? The substantial?
Significant.
Significant, sorry, significant.
On 3A2, it was provision of significant and contributions to needed city infrastructure.
Provisions of and significant contribution to needed city infrastructure. Okay, good. I think that covers them all. That was all of mine. Anything we missed? Okay, there's your first.
I have a first from Councilwoman Comber,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion?
I just have a comment. I didn't speak at all during that conversation. I'm fine having a policy. I'm going to vote yes for a policy. I see no benefit to a PID. And we're not voting on a PID tonight, but I'm still struggling to find any benefit. Our partner at Zions Public Finance just said that it does not do anything to provide affordable housing. It has actually made housing more expensive. I'll be interested to see when someone actually comes with a PID application, the value that it brings, because I'm not finding it.
Councilman McComber, would you entertain under item 6 where it talks about preservation or creation of open space, adding significant in front of open space? Similar to what we did before?
So amended.
Okay, I have an
Second.
amended first and an amended second.
And then just a general comment is, for me, the reason why I'm improving this is helping to get, hopefully, Mountain View corridor extended down through our city, which will alleviate traffic for existing residents. If other developers or whoever in the future come in this and they don't have that, I wouldn't be interested whatsoever.
Well, like Chris said, that we need a policy.
Yep.
Does that mean we can never do a thing in the future ever if we don't want to, but we have something in place in case it comes to it?
100%.
And I would rather write the policy than inherit it from the state, so.
Okay. Councilman Wadman?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
McComber?
Aye.
Barton?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Jonathan, thank you for stating what we've been arguing the whole time, that this does not create affordable housing.
I can't talk about it, it's fine. But that's been stated lots, and I appreciate the state and everybody saying that.
Okay, item 4, intent to annex Sitla Saratoga Springs annexation, 3 Canyons. I don't know which staff members, Sarah's got it.
And if the applicant wants to come on.
Yep, and the applicant, you're welcome. Come up if you'd like.
The area that is proposed for an intention to annex is outlined in blue on the screen in front of you. It's quite a large area. It's just over 1,200 acres. Here is the general plan currently showing that area as well, and then some of the surrounding subdivisions just to help identify the location. We do anticipate Mountain View corridor to extend through the majority of this property. And then this is the proposed annexation plat. Just to summarize, intent to annex starts a noticing period of a minimum of 30 days. And so then the soonest you would see the actual annexation to vote on would be December 2nd, or it could happen later than that. So, but December 2nd would be the soonest upcoming council meeting that you could have the public hearing.
Okay, any comments from council? Councilman McComber?
So I want to point out, I mean, we did have a comment in open comments, so I just want to make sure I'm addressing those concerns. This is an intent to annex. We've had a lot of different things that, over my tenure, that I do agree with and I don't agree with. I think this is transparency. This is allowing the community to be involved. This allows the community to be informed. It is getting the word out. There are certainly some residents who are very much engaged and know that these things are coming and know that there was a road coming and did their research. Most do not. And so to get a notice in the mail with this intent to annex, we'll be able to keep that conversation going. I personally also, this was within the annexation boundary of the city. So we didn't think that we'd ever want to have this annexed, then we shouldn't have had that within our annexation boundary. We wanted this because we also didn't want Eagle Mountain being able to come across behind the mountain and then annexing this in. Because trust me, they would love this and they would pay whatever it costs, because Eagle Mountain has proven they will spend whatever amount of money to develop, because look at some of their roads. Eagle Mountain Boulevard from SR 73 into their city center is this huge road from nowhere to nowhere, right? I mean, so they will put big money in. So then we no longer have control what is going to be happening in this development right on the border of Saratoga Springs. If you want to know what that feels like or looks like, look at West Lehigh on 2100. They put 95% of their density is on our border. So I did do it a little bit back to them, but we won't get into that. I did it on one of our developments, but it was only fair. But I think that Eagle Mountain, again, when we were doing the annexation with the church property, they were actively engaging, trying to get that annexation, because they would have loved to have been Eagle Mountain all the way to Redwood Road. Can you imagine the border between Saratoga Springs and Eagle Mountain being Redwood Road? We would lose a lot of control here. So this is an intent to annex. I want to hear the conversation. I'm looking forward to the emails. I'm looking forward to the phone calls, because when things like this, I promise you, to the newbies, you will get information from residents on this, because this is big. I promise you, you will not get as many on this as I did on bees when we had the bee policy, but that's just because people were much more passionate about bees. And then also, this is truly just an annex. When they actually do want to annex in, we can then have a contract that says you have to do certain amount of things with the road, or we can have an agreement around that annexation and the development. So I just wanted to sort of outline some of those reasonings why I'm voting the way I am on an intent to annex and communicating to residents. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Any other comments? Councilman Carn?
Yeah, just real quick, I appreciate those comments. And I believe this is the landowner who applies for the intent to annex, am I right? Right. Yeah, okay. And so this is just, because I had several calls and emails from residents say this is just a procedural step to start a notification, so more people are aware, and I think that's fantastic. Get more people aware of what's happening. I've got no problem voting yes to start the process. My concern is that this does start essentially a shot clock. That at the end of that shot clock, if we're not we've not come to an agreement on a lot of different terms, that we just vote no, and they have to start over. They have to start the whole thing over. So I guess you kind of get what you ask for a little bit here. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm skeptical that we can get to a point in the next 60 days where we've got an agreed upon development agreement with all the parties agreeing to it, that agree to everything that will come with this piece of land. So density, roads, who's paying for what state entity is agreeing in writing to provide those roads. So yes, I'm okay voting for this. Let's start the shot clock. I'm worried that we won't get there in 60 days and this will be all for nothing.
And I just want to clearly specify the applicant is Larry H. Miller, but the landowner does have to sign that application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think what I heard, you're setting the expectation, there's not an MDA, it's a no vote for you in the future.
For me, I would need to see, because the devil's always in the details of a agreed-upon development agreement between all parties. And frankly, I want the state to be party to it if they're going to be paying for the roads. I don't want to just come in and say, hey, we're approving, if it's 2,800 homes or 3,500 homes, whatever that number is, we need to see substantial progress on roads, performative with how many approvals we're giving. For instance, we approve 0 through 500 doors. Well, before 501, we need to see a section, this section of road built, something to that nature.
Wow, you're looking for a master development plan, like you're looking for.
We need a development agreement.
Well, but, I mean, I'm just looking back when we did the church's property, they had a density, and that was pretty much it.
Well,
And that was, I mean, you're basically asking them to do the whole process with one process of an
Well,
annexation.
but
That's,
I
I think, a
don't-
little bit extreme.
well, I don't want to annex this amount of land with no concept of what's going to happen with it.
But the thing is that things change, constantly change. You can't lock them in and say, you have to do it this way. Even the church has changed multiple times because things change. You have to have here's your density and this is what you're allowed. You can move it around, but,
And I'm okay with moving density around. That doesn't,
well, they're actually looking at coming in under the R policy for this.
I'm okay with density moving around. That doesn't bother me.
But the thing is saying you want state entities commitments on roads, that's a lot. We don't even have state commitments on
So
Pioneer
take them
Crossing.
out. I need their commitment in writing to build the roads. I need someone to say that we will guarantee these roads will be put in before X number of homes get built.
Okay, interesting.
If I could, I want to just interject. They are coming in under the community plan. They've gone back to community plan application. And to be fair, this was discussed, I believe, in one of our work sessions where we had proposed that potentially there could be a cap on density until the road commitment is met or something like that. So I believe what he's saying is consistent with what was talked about at another meeting. But again, those are the details I think that Councilmember Karn is requesting for. I don't think it's necessarily the level of planning that would be the plan approval. I think it would be the big density questions. It would be the infrastructure phasing kind of conversation.
Yeah, in my 16 years, I've never seen them, basically, the entire process done on an annexation. Because, at that level is what you're really talking about, Chris, is almost a perfect plan.
I think there's a difference between annexing 10 acres for some homes and something of this size.
Well, we annexed 4,300 acres.
Can I give a project update? So we are tentatively scheduled to bring the application in front of you for a work session on November 18th. We do have the applicant in the audience as well, if you would like them to answer any questions. And again, there is a lot to work out. They will be submitting their resubmittal, their third resubmittal of the development agreement and the community plan in a week. And then we can start reviewing that. I don't know exactly when what date you'll see it at the council meeting, but I just want to let you know what progress that's made. And as Mark mentioned, they have determined to stick with the community plan zone.
Okay.
Thank you for the update.
Is that technically PC?
Yes.
Planned community zone, sorry, the document is called community plan,
Thank
but
you.
yes, PC zone.
Okay, Councilman Wilden?
I actually am pretty supportive of the master development agreement. What I would want to see it is a specific number of units and then parameters around what was already said of the limit on the units until there's some type of commitment wherever the funding comes that can't be from the city to extend a major, we'll just say Mountain View corridor up to the edge of their property.
And that makes sense to me.
I think that's what
I'm saying.
yeah.
Well,
I just said it in less words.
You need to have a contract. You have the state signing an
I'm
agreement.
saying whoever's going to fund it.
But you're saying the state is not going to sign anything till 2029.
Because when we met with this applicant, upstairs, that was one of the things talked about, was
Well,
you don't
yeah.
have to pay for it, bring in the state and have them commit to pay for it. So that's just an example of one
But
thing
I'm
we
just saying,
talked
like,
about.
the state's not gonna sign anything until, they have to go through the legislative process, be 2029 before they would agree.
Well, we've got to have commitments on road infrastructure for this amount of houses.
If I could interject, there is one difference between this and other applicants, and it's the obvious. The state is a different entity. And I think we want to have a development agreement that establishes the parameters that the communities will accept. Because if you annex them without those parameters set and part of a contract, then we may have less flexibility with working with the state after that point. And so I think those are the terms that I think are the council's expressing that we want to try and.
Yeah, the way I'd see it, we don't have to say state or whoever it is, but it's just, you get a X percent, a very limited percent of your total units until there's a documented commitment from some entity other than the residents of Saratoga Springs and the city to pay for that funding. Or not to pay for the funding, to pay for the.
Fund the road,
Yeah.
the infrastructure.
Yep.
The piece I would want to see in there is the conservation easements.
That's your thing.
And the Mayor, you've been talking about conservation easements on the open space of the development.
Correct.
And perpetual conservation easements to all of that open space to make sure that it remains
Yep.
open space and available to the public. Which
Untouched.
I think is something that's been consistent with our ask.
Yeah, the developer's been good about it. I just want to see that in writing.
We'll have it in writing, but
Annexation.
it's not unprecedented.
It's not.
East-
We've done
the
it
east side-
elsewhere.
And the east side has done it. Many cities have
Yeah.
done this. Salt Lake has done this, county, Utah County. So it's not like we're
Not a
asking.
big
for-
ask.
Draper both have done it.
Yeah, to maintain, recreation.
I think
Live,
we
work,
have
and
an
play.
idea of what we're working on. And as Sarah said, there's a lot of detail. So-
Councilman Wadman has been very patient, as the rest of us have been D1 yappers.
18 months, I've been very patient. This, I forget your name, the citizen that came up and gave the comment earlier, because Councilman McCumber said we're going to get emails and stuff. I've already seen them. I've talked to a lot of citizens, and I get it. I'm part of the, I sit in the same traffic you guys do. As we talk about the annexation, it's with great thought, and I would say even sympathy, that when we consider the application and they coming in, my commitment, and I think we've heard it here too, is that we make sure that the infrastructure is there, and I don't know if we can say that we're committed, but it's agreed upon that it won't do any harm to the current citizens. And we say that, and I don't know what that means, the finality of that, but that's our intent. That's my intent, and I think a lot of people here have said that too. So we hear you. And I even welcome it. Give me some more, and we'll even talk more, but all these things that we're voting on tonight, we know the weight that it bears. And I've counseled with McComber and all the other council members here too on this. And anyway, so to let you know the intent of where we're going with this, so.
Okay, Councilwoman Barton?
I just want to thank Councilman McComber for explaining the intent to annex. I mean, that was important to explain that. But I also want everybody to know, like, we have these conversations that are fairly long up here, but they're longer amongst ourselves as well. Like, I've had numerous conversations with different council members all week long, and with Mark and Owen and whoever we need to make sure we're doing things right for our residents. And so it's a hard process, and there's been a lot of discussion about both these items. I feel like we've been very thorough in what we're asking our expectations on both of those. And again, a big thank you for our staff and for the applicant and stuff like that, because there has been a lot of discussion, a lot of good back and forth. Nothing negative or anything like that, but good conversation about wants and needs and things that we don't want. And so it's been these things are really hard, but I feel like we've done a really great job discussing with the staff and applicant and with each other.
You mean like the hour phone call we had this morning?
Yeah, an hour and a half maybe. Well, Chris finally's like, I finally finished breakfast an hour after our conversation. Yeah. So we're having these. We want to make sure we're doing
One-on-one
right for everybody.
meetings.
Yeah. So
Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to improve the intent to annex Sitla, Saratoga Springs annexation, Three Canyons, 1,209.952 acres located approximately Grandview Boulevard and Stillwater Drive along the current and future Mountain View Corridor right-of-way west of Jacob Ranch and south of Brixton Park Drive. Larry H. Miller Real Estate and Brandon Ames as applicant, Resolution R25-56 dated today.
Second.
I have a first from Councilman McComber. I didn't hear who.
Second. yeah.
Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Barton.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Carn.
Aye.
Wadman.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We do have need for closed session. I will entertain a motion to.
Second.
Okay, we have a first from Councilman Carn, second from Councilman McComber. We'll take a short recess. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?